Hello and welcome to Gabbett Media. I'm Grant Abbott, and in this series we're creating a detailed game-ready axe. This session is looking at detailed retopology once again, and this time I'll be discussing when to use high poly and when to use low poly retopology, along with lots of ways of reducing topology into smaller areas. If you like what you see here, then check out the description for my website and playlist section of my channel for other free courses. Or you can follow the links to my character course, where you can learn to make a full game-ready detailed character from scratch. Okay, so here's our axe model, and so far we've got the bottom straps retopoed, the handle, the top straps there. We've got the toruses down here, which are fine, and they match the high poly closely. The last thing to do then is the axe head. So if I select the axe head, and let's zoom into that with full stop on my numpad, and let's go to X-ray mode, into wireframe, and start cutting near the strap lines. So I'll just do a loop cut around there to start off with, and this one's fairly close, so I'll leave that there, and edge slide these with GG. Okay, so let's take a closer look. I'll just come out of edit mode and out of X-ray mode, and let's quickly take a look at my top strap retopo just here, and I'll get rid of the high poly so it doesn't distract, and into edit mode we can see we're going to need this many cuts onto our axe head, which will probably be useful in some way for increasing the topology so it gets closer to the high poly. So back into object mode with that, and back into edit mode with the axe. I'm going to move this one, and I've still got snapping turned on, GG, and slide it in so it's in line. And if I start making edits, I have got snapping to faces turned on, so it will attach itself to the axe head high poly, but it's probably a good idea to have the shrink wrap on as well. It might have to be a bit closer though than the previous ones. So let's go to add modifier, shrink wrap. I'll minimize my mirror. I'll just bring my tools a bit higher here, and let's choose the high poly. So with my pipette, there's the axe head high poly there, and we want above surface, and I'll put the offset up for now and see what it looks like. And you can see it kind of looks quite bubbly. So I'll bring this down. I'll start with 0.5 and see how close we're going. I'll probably go a little bit closer than that, so 0.3. Now remember, this depends a lot on the size of your object because this is in meters. So I'm going to go fairly tight with this, and I can have a reasonable amount of detail then. And lastly, let's turn on the on cage so I can see that sitting on top, and let's start sorting out the mesh. So we'll go to X-ray mode, and then we can start seeing the mesh on top a little bit easier. I might hide the mirror, and therefore it won't get in the way, and we can see just from one side. And now we can start splitting this up a bit. Okay, so I'll just count how many I need. So it's 1, 2, and 3. In fact, I'll move this one up. So G to grab, and 1, 2. So I'll just subdivide these edges. So this one first, right click and subdivide and give it 2. And then just move these into position so they roughly line up. This one 2, so right click, subdivide, and 2 cuts. And then move those into position. Okay, so from this I can start thinking where my mesh needs to go. We're probably going to need an indent in here, but not too great, and that again depends on the detail you're going to go. You'll be surprised that you can get away with quite a lot, especially if you want this to be reasonably low poly. So you certainly wouldn't need to do that indent if it wasn't going to be used in something like a cutscene or get fairly close up to. But all the time I'm trying to do a tutorial and therefore show you the best ways of doing these things. And lots of people have said, why don't you just do an automatic retopo? Yes, but we don't learn that way. And it's not always that great. If we do an automatic retopo, it's much less efficient and harder if we want to increase the topology in order to put this into films or something like that, and we wanted to have the edges sharper. That's where it gets much more tricky, and you need to know and have a good understanding of retopology. So let's go back to X-ray mode and start cutting this up a bit. I'll just use my knife tool, and I'll come into areas that I think need some extra topology. So the obvious areas are coming across here, down to here, and into here. And I'm just going to move this to line up with our indent just there. So we want one following the indent around. I'll move this one up for now and move that one into the middle. And I'm literally just going to use my knife tool to start off with to map the outside of this for the most part, and then just line any verts up that I think make sense. So I think this is probably the best, most simple to understand method of doing it. Just go around the edge and then tidy your mesh up after this. Okay, so just take a look at your mesh now and think, where do we need quads? And obviously there's a big gap in here, so we can get the knife tool and cut in here and come across to this one. There's an n-gon there, but a triangle there, so we can cut in here and select that one and press Ctrl X to get rid of it. We can have a cut across here, down to this one, and then get rid of that one. And I'm just going around thinking, where do I need some quads? I might need one on this side later on, and obviously I'll need to patch things up in here, but I'll come back to that in a moment. Okay, so it's a bit messy in here. I'll start off by doing a cut across here, and I will just go to the edge this time. There needs to be one across here, and I'm going to go to here for now, and then I can think how I'm going to marry those up. Okay, so all these ones can be joined together. So M at center, and then just make sure you grab it with G just to make sure that it's snapping to the surface. I can get rid of these two, Control X, and I'm just slowly getting there and building up the topology. Okay, this one here is a bit awkward, so we can GG to edge slide. Now I've done that, but I haven't actually got my auto merge on, so let's turn that on and just undo that and GG. Okay, it's a bit messy in here, but we'll create one there, and we have actually got two quads here, but if I dissolve these two, then it doesn't really follow my curve very well. But if we follow this line through, we can see there's a extra vert there, and it'll be good to have some extra verts on the edge here. So if I press Ctrl R on the edge here, and then I'll just join this up over to here. Now there's so many different ways you can sort this out, and probably playing around a little bit is the best solution here. And I'm going to choose to slide these along at the top. So we've got a bit of room there, and a bit of room there, and I think we can have a cut down here, and therefore we've got a quad, and we've actually got a quad here, and then these two triangles here. So I think actually this would be fine if this follows the curve around here. So I'm just cutting through here. This one might as well follow down here, and then we can have more curve in here. And I'll just slide that up to there, and join up in here. I can easily marry these two up with just a cut in here. It's looking a little bit untidy at the moment. I'm going to make sure all these outside edges are on the top there, so they're snapping to the top of the axe head. Oh, there's an extra cut there. I'm going to sort that out now quickly. So a cut in there, and then select these two and press J is another way of doing it. And I'm going to do a cut across here as well. We'll probably need some more topology around here, so we'll do that a bit later on. This one can flow into there. I can sort and smooth those out a bit later. I'm just not grabbing them and moving them because they're going to snap into the inside shape there. Okay, there's an edge here I can get rid of, Control X, and there is one there that looks a little bit weird at the moment. And the shape around this area here doesn't seem that great. Okay, so let's select that one and that one. M, merge at last, and we've got a big quad there. It's just this triangle here that we could probably sort out fairly easily. Again, it's not a huge problem, but we'll probably end up cutting in here and having more verts down this side here. Okay, so for now, I'm going to select the faces inside here, and I'll use C for circle select. So with circle select on, you can paint your selection. Makes it a bit quicker. So left click to select, middle click to deselect, and right click to come out of a circle select. So I need to press right click there to come out of circle select, and then I can go back in once I've moved my camera to position. Okay, right click to come out. Let's go to front view and inset that. Just a bit easier to see what's happening in front view, and we'll go to somewhere like that. Okay, so now you can see that it's got a slight indent, and we just need to tidy that up a bit. So it can be a sort of time-consuming task, this, if you're doing it, let's say, semi-properly like I am here. I say sort of half properly because you can go really, really detailed with topology, and you can go in here and do all these details that you can see. The only right or wrong answers to retopology is, does it work when you've finished? So do you get any anomalies in normal maps or displacement maps? What's the output going to be used for? So if it's used for something like film, then you might need a displacement map on here. And a displacement map is like a bump map, but it actually moves the geometry. And have you got enough topology around your edges to sharpen them up with a subdivision surface modifier if you need to? And if you don't understand that, then look up proximity loops and supporting loops in my Get Good at Blender series. Okay, so I need to merge these together. So GG and GG. I used an inset because then I have this nice edge loop around here, and if I wanted to I could press Ctrl R and increase the topology. So there's that supporting loop around there. It will hug my inset really nicely now, and I'll get much less anomalies. But I'll undo that for the moment, because actually with this sort of topology you can actually select the outside loop going around here like this, and I've just noticed there's an extra one there which we'll need to tidy up, all the way around, and then I can press Ctrl B to bevel. Once you've got that bevel in there, I can then add a subdivision surface modifier to this, and this edge will stay nice and sharp. So there's reasons why you need good topology like this in order to do edits like that. I will actually Ctrl R and do that loop cut in there. It will just add that extra bit of support. Okay, so we're certainly getting there. This one needs to come into here, so J to join, and this one into here, J to join. And this scallywag here, Ctrl X to get rid of it. Okay, there's an anomaly here, so Ctrl R, select these two, J to join. Now this is actually problematic geometry. It's not ideal. Ideally you want an edge flow going around here and around here. That's not too difficult because we can select this whole entire edge and do that bevel like this later on, and the same with this one, and then it becomes good topology. Or we can select all these and use an inset technique. So there's lots of ways around it. Okay, so I'm going to cut across here to increase the geometry on the edge there and join those together. Now there's an actual cut in here, isn't there? So we're going to need to follow that. So I'll just use my knife tool on this one to go to there and to there. And then K to come across here. And I think we'll just go to the edge here. It's not bad to have extra topology in there. Occasionally the knife tool will do weird things like this. Just select them, merge them at center, and then G to grab and move them into position. It's probably a combination of my shrink wrap and things like that that's causing those problems. Just adapting this to the edge. Okay, so I'll select the faces in here and delete them. And then select this edge here, E to extrude, pull it right to the center, F to fill, and F to fill. Let's just make sure that's right in the center. I'll just get my mirror back here. And let's zoom in on that area. It's not quite in the center, so G to grab, pull it in. Turn that mirror off. Okay, so we've obviously got an end gone there that we need to sort out. But I'll just sort the other areas out as well, so we need to know how many we need. Now, is this going to be a problem here? There's a bit of an issue just there, isn't there? And here. And we'll certainly need more around here. There's a dink in there that's quite big. So we need to sort those bits out in exactly the same way. So delete these faces. And fill them in. Now again, this is dependent on how close you're going to be to your model as to whether you need to see these things. I'm going to do a loop cut across here and here, because then I can join these up to a mesh that's in the middle. So it helps me with the sort of bumpiness around here, but it also helps me to link these up to something like this. And you can use the knife tool or J to join. There's a bit of a dent in there. It's not particularly big, but it might make a difference. So what I'll do, I'll use the knife tool this time, and this time I'll create a triangle just there, just to annoy all those purists. So it's following the curve a little bit more there. Does it need a touch more? Maybe about there. Just a tiny bit sticking out should be okay. There's quite a big dent in here, and there's quite a big space in here as well. So I'll come out from here to the edge. I might tidy this up in a second, because it looks like we need another one in here. So it follows that edge. There we go, automatically tidied up. This across here, and across there. There is a dink in here actually, which is possibly noticeable, so let's use the knife tool on that one as well. And I'll use it like this time. Now, you can argue that this is a quad-based mesh because there's a quad in there, but it's a horrendous quad. So it's best if you don't do that sort of thing. It's one of those concave quads, which aren't very good. Far better is to come from here to here and join, and here to here and join, and from here to here and join, and then get rid of these. Now yes, we've got two triangles there, but they're okay triangles, there's no big problem with those. And if you're desperate to sort that out, Control R and Control R. Just make sure they follow the line. So we've managed to get a quad in there and a bit more topology around these areas to help us. There are other ways of doing that as well. I'll quickly show you the other ways. So I can select those, dissolve them, and use my knife tool in here and come this way and come out to here. I'll press E to extend this cut, out to here, and E to extend this cut, and then up to here. And that's another way of adding topology in. I've obviously got these extra ones in here now, so I actually preferred the way I did it here. Okay, let's just move out a bit and see how we're doing there. I think that's pretty good. That's just that tiny bit sticking out there, but I can probably just readjust my object a touch just there. I'm just going to move these around just a touch as well. Okay, so let's take a good look at our mesh and see what we need to tidy up from this angle. This is a good opportunity to cut here and out to here. So I'll just select those and J to join. K for the knife tool, come across here, out to here, and down to there. E to extend that cut, and over to here. And Control X to get rid of that. And you probably want GG to slide that along so it looks more like quads. I'll speed this up just a touch, so it's a similar sort of thing, moving things around and just creating more cuts in here with that same technique and deleting that one for a quad. And just adding a few verts and edges where I need to around here. This is one of those areas that could be problematic. I don't think it actually will be in this case, but if it is a problem, then you can select this entire loop around here, coming around here, all the way around, and you can bevel that loop. That will give you a nice edge flow going around the edge here. So before going quickly to the back side, just delete those inside faces there, and let's have a look at the back. I'll add a few loop cuts in and just even out the topology so it's nice and smooth, and then I'll come in and think about adding the extra verts around here. So it's one of those squares again, and just lining it up. So again, just to clarify, having a pole on the edge of your mesh is not great practice. So if you wanted to clear that up, you can select that edge loop there and there, all the way round, and Control B to bevel. And then you can see then that I've got that edge flow. If I wanted any supporting loops for a subdivision surface modifier, even if I wanted to just sharpen this up, I can Control R in here and do another loop cut to sharpen that up. But I really don't think that's necessary here. It's just adding complications. Now generally speaking, your mesh probably wants to be fairly even like this. If you've got any really big faces, maybe these ones you could argue are a fair bit bigger than others, then you may possibly come up with problems. It shouldn't really make that much difference if you are following the silhouette of your mesh, so have a good look around. Does it really match up? If it does, then you probably won't get any issues. I feel it probably does need a bit of a tidy up just to add a bit more topology to the bottom there and make sure that curve of the blade is right. So I'm just coming in and making sure there's a few cuts in here that link up and marry up, especially as the shape underneath seems to deform around the blade there as it goes inward. So I thought I'd just double check that, making sure that it's all working. And if any bits of the mesh are popping through, sometimes you can adjust things and make it a bit clearer. Okay, so a pretty detailed kind of in-depth approach to retopology there. Hopefully that's clarified some of the reasons why you would and wouldn't use retopology like this. But the better your topology, the easier it is for you to add detail and therefore things like displacement maps later on. Also, your topology needs to match your outline and your silhouette really well in order for the normal map to work and look good. Okay, so we just need to attach these up and then bake. Hope you're still enjoying this. Do comment below with any thoughts you have. Let me know how you're getting on by sharing your work with me, and I'll see you next time.